are now recording. All right. Well, hi, my name is Matt Hendricks. I run the website otherpeoplesmovies.com. That's what this video is for. We're trying new things now. We're going to try our first ever uh, podcast here. I couldn't remember what that was called right away. Yeah, we're just going to have some fun doing it. And our first topic of tonight are the Batman movies. And I'm here with a group of friends who I have uh, discussed Batman with in different capacities over the years, and we've all had serious conversations about Batman as a character and his movies, and I thought we could have some of those conversations tonight. So, without further ado, we'll get into that. Basically, for me, I'd consider myself an average Batman fan. I started reading the comics seriously when I was around 30, so I didn't really get into them till late. Not really much of a comic reader now. I can't afford it. Um, I've read all things Batman Grant Morrison. I've read almost all things Batman Frank Miller. I have not read his Brian Azzarello book yet, the one that he co-wrote with Brian Azzarello. And I've read some random stories here and there. Aside from that, I'm just a fan of the movies, and I enjoy them, and I kind of just take them for what they are. And I enjoy some more than others, which is what we'll get into here in a little bit. And we will rank the live action Batmans here shortly. So let's go through with you guys. James, I'm going to go in the circle here. So James, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us your fascination with Batman?
Yeah, okay. I'm James Benner. I first got into Batman through seeing reruns of Batman 66. I kind of just enjoy all things Batman, watch the movies, the animated shows, read the comics, although I have not been reading the Zdarsky run just because I just haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Okay. Talisky?
I'm Talisky Ramey. I have been a Batman fan for over 30 years. I grew up with it. My dad was a big Batman fan, so instead of sports, I got Batman instead as like my sort of thing. So I read all the comics up until probably 2010, and then I think with you, Matt, I think things just got kind of expensive. Like they just want a lot of money for comic books.
Yeah.
So if I do get them, I usually will get the full graphic novel run of everything and whatever. But like read the comics all the way up till like from the 92 Shadow of the Bat run all the way till like 2000 and Contagion and all that. So big Batman fan. I have a bathroom devoted to Batman behind me. So I would say pretty up there on Batman fandom. So.
Okay. Yeah, I would say of my friends, you Talisky and you James are two of the biggest Batman fans I've ever met. So, but Talisky, in terms of just dedicating his life to it, might have you beat slightly, James, because he literally does have a room devoted to Batman in his house, a bathroom. So it's awesome. It's very cool. That's very cool. All right, how about you, Robin?
Well, I've seen this bathroom, and I remember it's a Batman bath mat. I think there's a Batman mask in there. There were also the Batman Funko Pops all along a shelf in there, you know.
Yeah.
So,
So I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry. Yeah, the bathroom is not too small to fit the Funko Pops. They're to the side of me right now. So,
yeah. I haven't been to this new bathroom, but anyway. I'm Robin. I probably have the least knowledge of Batman out of everybody here. I've seen most of the movies that we're going to talk about. It wasn't until I was at my parents' home, over the summer, I think, that I found out I did read Batman comics at one point. But, I had a bunch of them, but I don't remember them. Point is, I'll have the least amount of knowledge of this stuff, but I'll share my knowledge and my opinions of what I have seen.
Please do. How about you, Luke?
Oh, that's me. I come at Batman more as a film buff than as a comic book fan.
Same here.
I was a comic book fan for a long time. Also, it just got too expensive for me for the most part. I have opinions about comic books, and especially I liked the Batman comic books because they were really cool. But especially with Grant Morrison. But I
love
it's been 30 years since I read this. So I mean, I for the most part, I come at Batman as someone who digested the TV show, religiously, and then we in '89.
Which TV show?
So the original one, the Adam, the Adam West one. Sorry,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
There was a serial, I guess, in like 41, but I haven't watched that. It was with the Wizard was the villain. I don't know anything about that.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, so you can watch it. You can like buy it on Amazon or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, those old serials are something else. But the TV show I digested, and I think that was probably a good representation of how the comic book ought to have been depicted on screen. And then there's nothing, except with the Scooby-Doo cartoon.
Okay.
And then 89, what was the year that comic books sort of explode? Well, it didn't explode, but the Batman franchise became a thing.
Gotcha.
On screen. The big screen, that is.
Yeah.
With Tim Burton's movies.
Yeah. All right.
And every Batman since has been more or less an interpretation of Tim Burton's Batman.
Yeah.
Or Michael Keaton's Batman, if you prefer.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely get into Tim Burton's Batman more here down the road. But yeah. That's pretty thorough, Luke. Thanks, man. So yeah, you already gave your thoughts on Adam West Batman. So you were an Adam West Batman fan, Luke.
Me?
Yeah,
I was. Yeah, I watched it pretty religiously. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the faces here. I don't think I'm the oldest person here, but I certainly I think we're all about the same age.
Roughly.
So I'm sure that my experiences, if not exactly the same, probably similar to you guys. You guys probably watched that show, and if you weren't fans of it, you have your reasons, and I respect those reasons.
Sure. Yeah. Well, before I get into ranking my my top 11 live action Batmans, I am going to discuss. We'll discuss a few spinoffs. The first thing I wanted to discuss for the rest of you is Adam West Batman. Luke, you pretty much stated your opinion on it. If you have something else to add, please do. But for the most part, my experience with Adam West Batman was I didn't watch it religiously. It was always on. It was on, not always. It was on in the background when I was a kid, and I caught moments here and there. I always thought it was campy fun. I always thought it was, I thought it was interesting. I always liked the colors. As a kid, I thought it was just cool. I thought it was silly. I never took Batman seriously until Batman '89. That was what made me take Batman seriously. It wasn't Adam West Batman. So what'd you think, James?
Yeah, I kind of, my entryway was Batman '66. I used to see it at my grandma's playing reruns, and I fell in love with it.
Yeah. Okay. How about you, Taliski?
I think more or less same. I definitely remember watching that show. I remember we had a VHS of the Adam West movie with the you just can never get rid of a bomb like that. I saw that God knows how many times. But I think my opinion of it was kind of this is silly. It's kind of campy. I was more or less into it because it was just kind of fun, people punching, and you see the ramps and whatever thing.
Right.
But I think even though I think the '89 Batman was something that was definitely serious for me, I don't think I got into Batman until the animated series. It's when I was just this is it. But so Adam West was cool. Yeah.
Right. Right. Well, very cool. How
Yeah,
about you,
I'm
Robin?
pretty much the same as you, Matt. Like, I mean, it was on. It wasn't bad. I just couldn't get into it. But yeah, '89 Batman, like that one definitely got me more and more interested in Batman. Partially because I just like Tim Burton's films and I like Tim Burton's style. Like, even though like going back and watching that '89 Batman now, I don't like it's nearly as much. But I mean, that's a whole nother thing for a later discussion. But
Sure.
anyway,
Sure.
that's my opinion on like Adam West. So.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Now I have very, very little experience with animated Batman. I've seen Mask of the Phantasm with you once or twice, Taliski. I can't get into. I'm an animation snob. I can't get into the animation style. I've never seen Batman animated in a really cool way. My opinion, like Enter the Spider-Verse. If they did a Batman movie, Enter the Spider-Verse style, I'd be all over it. Like that would be amazing to me. But I've just never seen animation that really supports what I think Batman should look and feel like. And I'm a little hung up on the animation style to get into any of the shows, any of the comic spinoffs. That's just my take on it. I did enjoy Mask of the Phantasm. I need to probably see it again before I really rank it with the rest of the movies. But that's but my experience is pretty limited with that. How about you, James?
Oh, with the animation?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I pretty much watch everything that I can get my hands on.
Okay.
Probably my favorite is still Batman the Animated Series.
Okay. Anything else that you'd recommend?
Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Okay.
It's all like Silver Age stuff, but I love it.
Okay. I'll look into it. I would like my opinion to be changed. I wish I could get into more animated Batman. How about you, Tillis? Oh, just go ahead, Luke.
Oh, well, no, I was just going to add on to that. I mean, the first episode of The Brave and the Bold is Green Arrow, so
okay,
that's kind of cool.
Okay,
I don't know.
Okay,
just a side note.
Very cool. Very cool. How about you, Taliski?
I never saw The Brave and the Bold that much, but the Batman animated series, God, I love that show.
Okay.
Like, I mean, from the stories, I actually like the animation style. Though I will say, like, I remember as a kid when I first saw it, like the whole like square jaw thing definitely threw me off at first. I was like, the fuck? But like as time went on, I was just like, yeah, I'm with it. Like, and the whole kind of like pseudo 1930s, 40s, but it's also modern sort of style was just fantastic. Like they did a whole thing where they called it like dark deco, and they would actually like paint or like draw on like black backgrounds to give it its like distinctive look.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you got Kevin Conroy's voice, everybody like Mark Hamill's voice, like the stories were great. That was kind of the introduction of Paul Dini, who wound up becoming this great Batman writer himself, and he made the whole entire like when he created Harley Quinn. And he also like revamped the Mr. Freeze, so there's like the whole kind of like tragic story, and that won him an Emmy. Like it's just Batman animated series is probably like for me is like the best Batman thing that I love outside of the comics. I think.
Oh really? Okay, even over all feature movies.
Give me a sec. You know what? Yes, I think. So here's we can get into it a little bit deeper, but I will say this statement. It's the best Batman thing. I don't like. It's not necessarily the best out of like, film and like so. Like Mask of the Phantasm is not necessarily the best Batman. It's not the best movie out of all the movies that have Batman in it, but I think it's one of the best Batman movies, if that makes sense.
Okay, it's one of the best movies it's one of the best representations of Batman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. It might not necessarily like the greatest film, but as terms of like what Batman is,
and that's something we'll get into later. But that's my major complaint with almost all adaptations of Batman is I don't know, and we'll get into this, but I don't know if they've ever nailed Batman on screen. They've come close. There's been a lot of. I don't know if they've ever totally nailed the full complexities of that character, but we'll get into that later. How about you, Robin, on animated?
So I mean, I watched it as a kid, not consistently, but I enjoyed it, and I mean, I thought it was good. But like looking back at like the style that's used throughout it, like as Selitsky was saying, that sort of Art Deco look to it is perfect for Batman for like that period of time, and just like even the way the figures are drawn, like Batman with his sharp cut, broad shoulders and like all of his muscles and like the gear that he wears and stuff. Like it's perfect with like the Art Deco simplistic look,
Sure.
you know.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. I'll give it another.
Yeah.
I'll give it another shot one of these days. I'll give it another shot one of these days. How about you, Luke?
Oh, I agree. I think that the animated series, the Batman the animated series, is the best interpretation of as on screen. Period. And I think that because it gets into stories. Like you said, it introduced the Harley Quinn character, who has since been, I mean, she was so well received by the fans that they have now incorporated her in comic books. I mean, and they made movies about her and added her to the franchise. I think that and the dark deco look is just so cool and timeless. I think it's great, and Kevin Conroy is the best Batman. I think as far as acting goes. Mark Hamill, perfect Joker. I mean, so every Joker I think has been interesting in their own ways. Whereas Batman's definitely have a ranking to them.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion.
Yes.
And I think that and I'm gonna let you take that because you have the rank and everything. It sounds like you did some hard work on figuring out the ranking. So I think that we should let you take control of that one. But as far as the animated series go, yes, I did my homework because I was like, I gotta get ready for this podcast and get serious. So I crammed a bunch of them, and without a doubt, the animated series is the best one. The Batman the animated series is the best.
Okay. I'll give it another shot. Let me just check real quick to make sure we are still recording. And we are. And let me go back. Little peek behind the scenes for our viewers there. All right. Well, that's you guys have opened up my eyes to. I will give animated Batman another chance. All right. So real quick, I'm pretty sure James and I are the only ones who watched this one. I forgot to even bring it up to you guys in preparation. I was a Gotham fan, the TV show, the spinoff Gotham. It mainly had to do with a young Bruce Wayne. Was it on NBC or ABC, James?
Oh, I'm not sure, to be honest.
Wasn't it on I thought it's not on CW?
No, it was on one of the major networks. I'm almost sure it was on one of the major networks. But anyway, I was a fan of that. It was kind of a prequel series. It dealt with a young Bruce Wayne. It kind of gave you some interesting looks at early takes of the villains. Cool show. I wouldn't call it great. I have fond memories of it. I may never watch it again in my lifetime, but I do recommend it to Batman fans out there. Did any of you watch it? What did you think of it, James?
An episode or two.
Okay.
I like it. I consider it like a good bad show.
Okay, yes, that's a good way to put it. It had this kind of really heavy-handed. It was very heavy-handed style, very operatic. Didn't always work, but I always enjoyed it.
That's why I thought it was on the CW.
Okay,
but
maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure where it. I thought it was one of the major networks.
I think I maybe have seen parts of one episode. I never actually saw it, but I heard mid things about the show.
Okay. Yep. James was the only other friend I thought watched it. And I've seen the entire series, and it was good. It was kind of dumb fun. But yeah. All right, I almost included Joker on my ranking, but I decided since it really overall has nothing to do with Batman, I decided to we'll just discuss it outside of the ranking real quick. Great movie. I look forward to the sequel. I know it's getting mixed reviews right now, but I'm really looking.
Oh, it's out?
No, it just
Oh,
premiered
cool.
at one of the major film festivals. I want to say Venice, but I'm not positive. And the first handful of reviews came out. Some applauded it, some gave it, some said it was quite disappointing. I'm gonna give it a shot, but no, Joaquin Phoenix deserved the Oscar. Todd Phillips really surprised me. Really great, really well movie. Well thought, very thought provoking movie. About that, it was comic book movie, and there's a movie about how we treat mental illness in our society in disguise as a comic book movie. Long story short, it was just a very, very good, very smart, very meaningful movie. How'd you guys think? What'd you think, James?
I kind of felt it was overrated, to be
Okay,
honest.
okay.
Like I enjoyed it, but I didn't get all the hype.
Gotcha. Understandable. What about it? Can you pinpoint anything about it that you didn't quite like, or?
No, cause I didn't dislike it. I was just like,
Gotcha. Just slightly
this is
underwhelmed.
okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. How about you, T?
I think I'm somewhat with James. I think I'm a little bit more on the yay side. Like I remember when I watched the movie, I don't know when it clicked, but like, I remember at least like the first 20 something minutes, I was like, oh crap, this
Yeah.
is. And then like I don't know what happened. I couldn't even give you a certain pinpoint of when I was like, okay, I'm into this. But I was like, oh, okay, I'm into this. I'm liking this now. And yeah, it's overall, I get what it was doing. I liked it. It's fine. Like it's good. It's good. I think well directed, cool style that it's filmed in.
Yeah.
Definitely trying to do that like 1970s Scorsese sort of film thing.
It's a comic book movie that pays homage to Scorsese pretty heavily.
Yeah. But this close to ripping off completely.
It owes it. It's basically a conflation of King of Comedy and Taxi Driver. It's basically those two movies conflated. So, how about you, Robin?
I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I pretty much the same as what you said, Matt. But I mean, even if it wasn't like the Joker, like necessarily, I probably still would have liked it. Because it goes in more to like what you're saying, of a person who has like mental issues in society, and not so much a villain like the Joker himself.
Right. Right. It might have even been a better movie if it wasn't Joker. But that being said, it made over $1 billion worldwide because it was the Joker. So you can't really fault it because it was so successful. It was an Oscar winner. It made hundreds of millions of dollars, and yeah. So how about you, Luke?
I like deconstructions of American archetypes, so I really liked it. The Joker was, still is a well-loved character, and everybody has opinions about the Joker. I think that Joaquin Phoenix definitely deserved all the credit that he got for it. It's an insane movie. And it's what's the director's name?
Todd Phillips.
Todd Phillips.
He's an anarchist, man. It's great. It's as punk rock as it needed to be, and for an homage to 70s cinema, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
As a Batman movie, it kind of failed in that we just saw that one suggestion of a young Bruce Wayne behind the grate, and it was not even a suggestion of the character he would one day become. So. Right. It was truly just a Joker movie, and I think that the part about it that I didn't like is that they made him out to be the hero that everybody needed.
Gotcha.
Which I think that if they were gonna go down that route, I think that the Batman did that more successfully with the Riddler.
Yeah. Well. I just think that I don't necessarily think I think he became part of the sickness. His sickness became interwoven with society's sickness. I don't mean to disagree with you. I took it as, I didn't take it as that he was a hero at the end. I took it as society was as sick as he was. So,
Yes.
and but that's me.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean the mental illness was captured so well by you know, in The Dark Knight by Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
You know, I mean that he died for that part, you know? I mean, the character got so much into his head that it destroyed him. And or if that isn't the narrative of Heath Ledger's end days, I don't know what is. Yeah. But Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is definitely fantastic.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's such an interesting character regardless. I mean, really you'd have to, I mean, going back to the animated series, you really have to compare them all against Mark Hamill and how well he did with the Joker.
Right.
And I mean, and really he deserves the most credit because he played the Joker in more media for more minutes, you know, of screen time than anyone else.
Gotcha.
So
yeah.
So really, he owns the character, in my opinion. I mean, unless you want to say like Bob Kane or someone does.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. Once and yet another reason for me to go and explore the animated series and more animated Batman. So, all right. Well, without further ado, let's go to ranking these 11 live-action Batman movies, and I am going to do 10 and 11 together because they're the obvious choices, and those are Joel Schumacher's Batmans. I mean, what else would be at the bottom? I am going to rank. I'm going to do a little less obvious a choice, and I'm going to rank Batman Forever at the very bottom as number 11, and Batman and Robin at number 10. And my reason for this is Batman and Robin at least knows how ridiculous and campy it is. It totally owns up to it. It doesn't totally work. It doesn't totally it's still sloppy and clumsy, but it knows it's ridiculous. It knows how bad it is. It's just not, it's still not very fun. It's still not that good. Batman Forever, I count that as being the absolute worst of all Batman movies because it thinks that it's sexy. There's still a part of it that thinks that it's just got this kind of sexy edge to it. And to me, it just reads as really obnoxious, like really, really obnoxious. I am a huge Joel Schumacher fan. I love Falling Down. I love Flatliners. I love The Lost Boys. I love Cousins. I love Time to Kill. He's done some very, very good movies. These were not some of them, though. These are definitely the low point of his career. That being said, I don't blame him though. I think he was a gun for hire. He did what the studio wanted. He wanted to do Frank Miller's Year One. He actually went to the studio initially when they were going to hire him to do the Batman movies. He proposed that they do Year One, but they said, no, we don't want to do that. We want to do this campy family fun version of Batman, and we're going to pay you so many millions of dollars to do it here. And Joel Schumacher was basically like, okay. He took the money and ran, and the movies are bad. Both those movies are bad. And I think they have some redeeming qualities. They have good art direction. They have interesting cinematography, but overall they're just bad. They're just bad movies. What do you think, James?
Yeah, I'm kind of there with you. I can enjoy them on some level. But they're bad movies. I do love the crazy Technicolor color palette that they have.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, the Bat credit card and stuff like that.
Which one was that? Was that one or two?
Batman and Robin.
Forever or Robin? Which one was it?
Robin.
It was Batman and Robin. Okay. Yeah, Batman and Robin was where they were getting really, really bad with the jokes. Like I'll get takeout or something. I don't remember.
This is why Superman works alone.
Yeah. How about you, Taliski?
I hate Batman and Robin with a fiery passion.
Yes.
I hate that movie so much. I mean, it's I think more personal because that's like the last movie I saw with my dad, and so I can never forgive Joel Schumacher for that. I'm like, you gave me that last, you son of a bitch. I will put that definitely because of that also as the worst one. I will give Batman Forever a little more credit because it has a good soundtrack. It has a very good soundtrack.
It does. And
So-
Batman and Robin does not. But Batman
Yeah.
Forever does have a very good soundtrack. I will give you that.
And that's pretty much the redeeming quality of it. It has a good soundtrack and Nicole Kidman. That's
Yeah.
pretty much it.
Yeah, Nicole Kidman's good,
Yeah.
and she looks good. So,
Yeah.
how about you, Robin?
They're equally as bad. And I agree with Felicity. The only thing that puts Batman Forever above the other is the soundtrack. That soundtrack's so good, but like the movie itself is so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
like, and the Batmobiles in the two are just so bad looking, like
No.
terrible.
No.
But as for like, yes, those are at the bottom of ranking for me. However, I've never seen Dawn of Justice or Justice League,
Okay.
so I can't really
We'll get
include
into
them in
those.
my ranking.
We'll get into those, but I know you don't like Zack Snyder, but
No, I don't. Yeah,
you'd probably rank them rather low. But we'll get into
probably. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. How about you, Luke?
Joel Schumacher. Yeah, I mean, he definitely, like you said, he deserves some respect for some of his stuff, but those Batman movies were not my favorites for sure. I don't. It's been so long since I've seen either of them. I don't remember what. Who are the villains in Batman Forever? Who are the villains in Batman
Batman
Robin?
Forever is Tommy Lee Jones is Two-Face, Jim Carrey is the Riddler, and I think it was just those two. And then Batman and Robin was Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy and Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze.
And they threw Bane in there for
Bane.
some
Bane's
reason.
in there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
You
awful.
barely even recognize that that's Bane. Like you're
Yeah.
just like you don't even notice that he's there practically.
So the Jim Carrey, that deserves some credit because Jim Carrey is great in everything he does. But and
He
his
chewed some scenery.
but as the Riddler, he didn't really work. I mean, it was great because it was Jim Carrey, not because Jim Carrey was a good Riddler.
I agree with you. I know exactly what you're saying, and I agree.
But I think that it was Tim Burton just went too dark, and so the Hollywood wanted to pull back, and say like we want to do something like the TV show, it was fun and campy, and that was a step backward, which it was a bad call. And Hollywood often makes bad calls.
Batman Returns scared people, and we'll get into Batman Returns in a little bit here, but it scared people, and that the Hollywood's response, you're exactly right, Luke, was to basically, let's go back to the 60s and do this light family fun entertainment here. So
that definitely shows with the way Tommy Lee Jones was acting as Two-Face. It's so campy and so like kind of pathetic looking.
Totally.
He looked like it was a mix between campy and I just don't want to be there. But then again, Tommy Lee Jones to begin with.
I heard it's pretty well known that he hated Jim Carrey while they were working together.
Yeah.
So I think it's very amusing to think about him trying to work with Jim Carrey. But
well, it's also just like comparing to how he pretty much always acts, like the way he was in The Fugitive to this. It's just like, man, this is way off on him.
Right.
My bosses at USA Film Festival said that he was not Jim Carrey, the other one. I can't. What was the
Tommy Lee Jones?
The actor's name, Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
They said that Tommy Lee Jones was the worst person that they'd ever met.
Really? Yeah.
So I think that
he's a darn good actor. I enjoy his work, but no.
I wish that he, when he was on screen, that he was a better on-set influence.
Gotcha.
So that the wisdom that he brought to the set, because he was in that famous Harvard Yale game.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
yeah.
that was really the start of his fame.
Yeah.
And then instead of capitalizing on that and becoming a great actor that people wanted to be around, he just was a piece of shit in Hollywood for the rest of his life.
Sure. Yeah. I like his work. I try to separate the art from the artist when I can. And I do like his work, but I love him in JFK. I love him in The Fugitive.
And that is a philosophy that's really necessary if you're going to move forward in Batman at all, because there's so much there's so many different takes on what Batman is all about that if you marry it to who the author was and that only, then philosophically it's just a constant argument that you're having with fans, and who separate themselves from real fans.
Sure.
No, so.
All right, moving on. Thank you. And moving on to number 9. I'm gonna go in this. I think a lot of you are gonna disagree with me on this one. I rank it as not being a quite good movie. Now, I like most of the movies on this list. I'm not quite there yet where I do like them yet. And this is the Batman 2022. I did not like that movie.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that.
Yep. I think it's. I have a few issues with it. I've thought about this, and my main issue, number one issue, is the frickin' length. It's I've given that movie 3 shots. Fell asleep the first time. Second time, I wanted to fall asleep. Third time, I was angry at the last hour. In the movie, it has an ending point. It's got some good quality. It's got some good performances. It's well made on a technical level. I think in terms of its overall vision, it's lacking. I think it's somewhere between Burton and Nolan, and it's not nearly as good as either of them. So I do, and I also think I think the direction of Robert Pattinson, for me, doesn't totally work. His choices are kind of obvious. His choices are too. He doesn't have, and maybe it's because he's still early on, and you may have an opinion about this, Taliski. Since he's still early on, he may not have his public mask on yet, where he plays the Bruce Wayne role, but that's something that was lacking from this movie, and it kind of bothered me. But yeah, and overall though, it was a lot of effort and a lot of talent put into something that, in different variations, I felt like we'd already seen before. So yeah, let me know. What do you think, James?
Yeah, I like that movie, but it's my least rewatched Batman movie.
Gotcha.
Honestly,
Gotcha.
I like the interesting take that Robert Pattinson takes on Batman. I like Andy Serkis as Alfred. I don't like that the Riddler was essentially right. I like at the end, like, Batman learns to be like, a symbol of hope instead of just pure vengeance.
Sure.
Yeah, it's kind of near the bottom of my pile too, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because we got the realistic stuff with the Nolan verse, so
right.
I'm ready for a more fantastical Batman take of film.
I am too, and we'll get into that at the very end. But I definitely am looking forward to that, and that's partially, and we'll get into Zack Snyder in a little bit too. But that's partially what drew me to Zack Snyder's vision so much, was it was at least something new. It was something different. A lot of people didn't like it, and I did, but I don't blame a lot of people. I get why some people didn't like it, but yeah, I just feel like this one lacks vision. I just feel like it just lacks vision. But what do you think, Taliski?
I actually liked it. I would definitely. I mean, personally, and I know this might be controversial, I put it over the Burton ones.
Okay.
I also agree that it is probably my least rewatched. But I remember, at least like when I was in the theater, the 3 hours didn't really feel that long. It didn't feel like Scorsese's most recent films. Like I was like, oh, okay, like the movie is actually moving to me. I really, really like some of the stuff they did with the Riddler, especially sort of like the sort of internet mob, social media sort of terror cell sort of shit. Because I was like, it was like really well done with that, and I did like what they did also with Batman, making it like sort of showing the weaknesses of him being like this kind of sheltered rich kid, like, and a lot of people constantly like calling out like his weaknesses on that. I really overall liked it. Like I liked what they kind of did with it. I personally actually did think it did have a vision. I thought it was like a really kind of cool, like dark, constantly rainy, kind of like Seven-esque, definitely Seven and David Fincher influenced this movie. God knows
definitely
how much.
owed that to David Fincher. It definitely owed that to David Fincher. But that's part of my argument. That's part of my argument, not to interrupt you, is that its style owes too many debts to too many things. Its style is like it's a conflation of many. It's like a pop culture hodgepodge. You know what I mean?
I mean, I didn't argue the same thing with Joker, but
fair enough. Yeah.
But I like both of them. So like it's I really do like. Yeah, I like Batman. Like I would put it up as my favorite one.
Sure.
Definitely not, but
sure.
I like that one.
Gotcha.
So.
How about you, Robin?
I wouldn't put it that low in a ranking. I mean, I definitely agree that it is long and it is slow moving at times. I think visually it's amazing looking, like, and I mean the noir look to it that you're talking about, but also just like the costumes and like the cars in it too, like are very cool. Like I mean, I get all into like that kind of stuff, like the scenery and like the clothing they're wearing and stuff like that. Like, and I think it's great for that. I think part of the reason I didn't enjoy it was just because it's yet another Batman movie starting from the very beginning again.
Yeah,
like
that was part of my issue too. That was part of my issue too.
And it takes, and that, and like how it takes so long to build up to what like this story ends up becoming. Like, you know, it just, I lost interest in it because of that. And I mean, that's how it is with like a lot of like superhero movies. They restart it again, the franchise, and then now you have to watch from scratch from the very beginning. And I get bored with that. Like the Spider-Man movies, the Superman movies, they all do that. Like, but I mean, still, like visually, I think this movie is great. I do like what you're talking about, Talisky, the way his character is, that like he basically has like PTSD, but like is like rich at the same time, and this is the type of thing that he does. You know, like I think that's great. Very different way of looking at it from what you're used to seeing with Bruce Wayne and like, you know, so forth.
And for what I remember of the movie, I'll give them credit. They didn't do the classic Mask of Zero pearl necklace falling down in slow motion.
They did not. They did not.
Flashback that they do in every first Batman movie. So I'm like,
not. Yeah, we didn't
good
need
on
to
them for
see
that.
They did not need to see that again. I that was one of the choices I liked. How about you, Luke? Batman 22.
Oh my goodness. I think that it's my number 2.
Really? Okay.
Despite the length, it has. I really think that the Paul Dano's Riddler is fantastic.
Okay.
I think that. I mean, what is Batman? You know, apart from being a superhero, he's a detective, and every movie has Batman doing detective work by just sitting in front of a computer. And you know, and reviewing footage and like not doing any actual detective work.
And that I should have brought that out. That is one of the things I liked about this movie, is that, you know, the world's greatest detective, or whatever they called him in the early comic books. That is the true movie that does explore that. I just wish I liked the movie better. I'm sorry. Please continue.
No. I think that his goth take on Batman is kind of funny. I mean, that definitely was that reminded me of some of the Batmans that I read. I think that that you know, it was a novel approach. It was so different from Christopher Nolan, and also it was not Ben Affleck. You know.
Okay.
I hated Ben Affleck's Batman more than anything. So, although Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight is my favorite Batman.
Mhm.
So I just love Christopher Nolan though. I
Sure.
don't necessarily think that Christian Bale made the absolute best Batman.
Mhm.
I think that he made a fantastic Batman,
Mhm.
but it's really just more about the quality of the cinematography and just Christopher Nolan is just such a brilliant filmmaker.
Sure.
It would be impossible to not rate Dark Knight as my number one
Sure.
for me. But
the Batman is your number 2.
yeah,
Okay.
despite the length, and I know it's a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
So I just watched it this morning to confirm that it was still my number 2.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the strength of the dichotomy between the Batman and Riddler characters, the Penguin that was introduced. I thought I liked that character.
Interesting. Interesting.
And then him doing detective work rather than just sitting in front of
I
a
liked
computer.
the detective work. I just wish I liked the movie more. Interesting.
The Batman, the suit itself, it made sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, it was
Invulnerable.
and I liked his arc from I am vengeance to being a light of hope that led the people out of the darkness into safety. So this was in the last scene when the city's been flooded and they're in the stadium, and he sees that the people need him, and he has just heard one of Riddler's henchmen say, "I am vengeance," which mirrored Batman's line from earlier in the film. Everyone kept calling him Vengeance, and so this man calling himself Vengeance, Batman realized that's not what he was really all about, and if it wasn't what he wanted to be all about.
Right.
So he allowed himself to risk electrocution, diving into a pool full of live wires. Rose from the pool with a lit flare and literally led the people with a lighted torch, led the people out of darkness to safety.
Yeah.
It's a great metaphor.
Nice.
He became the beacon of hope that he needed to be.
I love that you guys see more in it than I do. I really do. I wish I saw the same movie you guys do. I wish I did. So, all right.
If it had been 2 hours long, you would have seen the same movie.
It might have, or even 2 hours and 20 minutes long. But 3 hours, not for that. Not for that. All right. So
by the way, I did like Colin Farrell as Penguin, and I am excited to see the show at some point.
I will watch the show. I'm a big Colin Farrell fan. I think his work as the Penguin was very good. I look forward to that show.
And then Catwoman, Celine Kyle. How can you hate Catwoman?
I love Catwoman. I love the character, but man, I don't mean to start a whole new conversation, but I did not like Zoe Kravitz in that role. I did not like her. I thought she did not compare to. I mean, you've got tough competition. You got Michelle Pfeiffer and you've got Anne Hathaway. I'm about to get into Anne Hathaway, but
Julie Newmar is the greatest.
Julie Newmar. Yeah. I like the rest of the movie. I felt like she lacked character. I felt like she lacked. She lacked vision, and I didn't think the chemistry between her and Pattinson was particularly strong. So that's me though.
She's young.
Number 8 is, as I just gave away pretty much, is Dark Knight Rises 2012, the last in Nolan's trilogy. We're getting to the point where I'm okayish with the Batman movies. This is one I know I've watched it with you and Robin and Taliski a couple times. When it first came out, disappointment. after the Dark Knight and after the greatness that we'll get into, that is the Dark Knight. It just, I don't know if it was losing Heath Ledger. I don't know if the plans got thwarted. Something just didn't work. The movie is way overcrowded. You're trying to stuff in Ra's al Ghul's backstory. You're trying to stuff in Bane. You're trying to stuff in Catwoman. Way too much. 2 hour and 40-minute movie. Way too long, like we just discussed with the Batman. Just very unfocused, very uninteresting. It had its moments. It had its cool moments. I'd give it, if I were grading it, I'd probably give it a B minus. Like I'd maybe recommend it with some slight hesitation, or I'd slightly recommend it with some hesitation. But it just did not hold a candle to the predecessor, and it was a disappointing wrap up to a really fine previous two films. But yeah, what do you think, James?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. It's a little over long, a little over convoluted.
Yeah.
I will say I love that it gave us the Bane voice that the Harley Quinn animated show got to capitalize on, making fun of it.
Yeah. That's cool. I think you told me about that. Yeah. And I did forget to mention, I did love Anne Hathaway in the movie. I thought she was very underused. I thought she gave a great performance. I thought she fit well in the Nolan universe. I just wish the movie was more about her than it was about Bane or the whole Ra's al Ghul crap. But I thought Anne Hathaway was excellent.
I did like that. I actually gave Batman a happy ending for once, because you never see Batman with a happy ending.
No, and that's true. I did. I liked the ending, and there were parts of it I liked, but like I said, especially when comparing it to the predecessors, just it doesn't hold a candle. How about you, Taliski? And I already know your answer.
Yeah, no. I wouldn't say outright hate this movie, but I don't like it. At best, I give it a C at best.
Okay.
Like, it's just I can't completely blame Christopher Nolan for it. I think it's just because the fact that you could tell, like, by the end of Dark Knight, that he was definitely wanting to use Joker a little bit more, and he didn't. So then instead he packed it with a bunch of stuff, including, like, one of my favorite Batman stories, which is the No Man's Land story. He tried to, for whatever reason, work that in, but with Bane. He just pretty much used a bunch of characters that are all very captivating, but used them all wrong. And, like, I'm not trying to be like the usual, you have to stick to the lore. Like, I don't care really about that, but, like, Bane has such a, like, if you're going to introduce Bane as a villain, then the way that he was introduced in the comics, which is just like, he's exceptionally smart, and what he did was he took a very strong Batman and then perfectly plotted out how to weaken him, and so that he could finally beat him, as opposed to you just find an already old, decrepit Batman and then you just beat the shit out of him. Like, yay. Like, like, it's, and then it wasn't that great. It just, no, I not a fan.
Fair enough. What do you think, Robin? And I know your answer already.
Oh, do you?
I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't like it. I actually rank the Batman above this one because I mean, I find this one just very boring. Like, I mean, it's not like the style of it sure is the same as like the other Chris Nolan ones, but it's nothing new and impressive. And I also get annoyed with Christian Bale's Batman voice that's like overused. I find it very annoying. It's also just like there's scenes in it that are just like the editing seems bad. Like, it's like it changes. I not exactly changes time, but like it just like all of a sudden jumps to like something completely different. I feel like
Nolan, especially with the Batman movies, I felt like there were a number of cuts that were, I would say, questionable edits. I think there were a number of edits where that was a little rough there, where it's just like you tell they're cutting it out for violence or just for time or something. But it happens so quick in his movies, you just let it go. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I don't really care for like the story of what's happening with like, Bane or anything, like the whole part of like him being trapped or whatever. I guess I'm thinking of that incorrectly, but still, yeah, I don't really care for it. What I would have liked to have seen is more of Joseph Gordon-Levitt becoming Robin. That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and that should have led into something else, in my opinion.
That should have been, if they would have just made a movie about Catwoman and Joseph Gordon-Levitt journeying become Robin, maybe throw Bane in there. The one that they really needed to cut was the damn stuff with Ra's al Ghul's daughter. That just
yeah, I agree. Yeah,
that just was in the
it didn't work very well for it. Yeah. Anyway, that's it.
Yeah. What do you think, Luke?
Oh yeah, I agree with you guys. It was it didn't work. The twist ending that it just didn't work because the whole time we were expecting the Bane character to be the one who survived or whatever, and that he was the and I think that including Bane was a good idea because he was one of the few characters in the comic books who actually broke the Batman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he actually broke his back in the comic book, and so I mean, so that with that legacy, it was a smart idea to include him in the movie. And you know, we were expecting so much from him, but he just was kind of just a thug, you know, and a smart, charismatic thug. You know, it wasn't what the movie needed, and I think you're right about Ra's al Ghul's daughter. I think you're right about you guys were right about how they should have capitalized on that character and developed him as Robin. I don't remember that thing, but yeah, I thought that was he's always been great and everything ever since Third Rock.
Yes,
the Sun.
Yeah, he's stuck out ever since then. Yeah. Yeah,
so I think that there was a lot that it could have been that it wasn't, and it was disappointing. I mean, Heath Ledger could have been in it, and unfortunately he wasn't because
major tragedy. I mean, and obviously the first tragedy is the fact that he lost his life, but it's just it's too bad we didn't get to see him continue in that role. Because,
But at least we got to find out that if you break your back, you just have to punch it and you can start walking again.
You just punch it and do tons of push-ups and you're okay.
Yeah.
So
and you're good.
There you go. There you go. All right. Moving on to number 7. And this one isn't totally a Batman movie, but I did enjoy it. It's The Flash 2023. I don't have a lot to say about it other than James and we saw it together. Fun movie. It's more about the Flash than it is about Batman. It was the end of the DCU before James Gunn took over, and the major drawing point is the return of Michael Keaton as Batman. Without it, I mean, the movie would just be another generic superhero movie. Michael Keaton's presence makes it slightly special. And I had a blast seeing Keaton again. It's a fine movie. Andy Muschietti, if that's how you pronounce his last name, he's a good director. Supposedly, he's going to be doing the new Batman under James Gunn's guidance. He's a good director. I liked his It movies. I really don't have much to say about it. It's a fun movie, good movie, nothing great, nothing spectacular, just a good, solid, fun movie. And it was great to see Michael Keaton again. What do you think, James?
I'm kind of with you. It's a fun movie. I really like seeing Michael Keaton again. Ezra Miller was a little grating sometimes, especially his younger self.
I like it. I thought he was great. I thought he was pretty great. I thought I know he's got they've got their issues, but their personal problems. But I think they're a very good actor. So.
I also the CG. I know they said it was an intentional choice to not make it look realistic, but oh my goodness, that CG took me out of it.
The CG was pretty bad. The CG was pretty bad. Yeah. No, you could tell they hit a point with that movie where they were like, we're not going to invest any more money in this. They took it only as far as they wanted it to go. So, what'd you think, T?
I've actually not seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet? I thought you saw it.
No, I've not seen it. So I know some of the big points, which I will not say, but still, I know the main things that were kind of predictable, I guess. But
Yeah.
I do intend on seeing it because it's Michael
Yeah.
Keaton in the role. But
Well,
I haven't seen it yet.
they really, and not to give anything away, but seeing Michael Keaton in the role is the movie's major draw. But that being said, they don't do it full justice. They don't take full advantage of it. It's not quite as awesome as it should be, but it's still pretty cool. It's still pretty cool. Robin, have you seen it?
Nope, no
Okay.
comment.
Okay, no comment. How about you, Luke?
No, I have not seen it either.
Okay. All right.
WB, man, with the Warner Brothers, they with the that the CEO, he was just made so many bad decisions for Warner Brothers. It just I don't feel the need to invest in that cinematic universe right now unless it has Batman in it, or Superman, or Green Arrow.
Gotcha. Well, they're starting over. Then they're starting completely over with James Gunn's Superman next summer. So we'll see what they do with it from there. All right. Well, moving on then. Number 6 is for me Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice, and I'm gonna specify the ultimate cut because that's the version that I think is excellent. The 3-hour cut as opposed to the 2.5-hour cut that I saw in theaters and that everybody saw in theaters. My thought on this movie is time has been kind to it. It's gotten better with age. I wasn't ready for it when it first came out. When it first came out, I still remember I walked out of it. I was like the first 10 minutes, I was just so like it was just such a different take on things. And Zack Snyder's style can be so heavy-handed at times. I'm a Zack Snyder fan. I say this as a fan, but I just was not ready for his vision yet. And I just was like, nope, I'm done. I'm not ready for this. I gave it another chance, and I'm glad I did. And that movie has gotten better every time I've seen it. At first, I thought it was rushing to get the Justice League. I thought it was introducing too many characters, and it probably is. But at the same time, maybe I'm more used to it now because now every superhero movie is setting up its future franchises and characters and spin-offs and that kind of stuff. So maybe I'm more used to it. It doesn't feel nearly as overcrowded as it did when it came out like what is it 8 years ago. So I like it. I'm on board with Snyder's vision. Despite what you said earlier, Luke, I think Ben Affleck, I don't think he got the chance to really, he never got his standalone movie where he could have really shined. But I thought he was a pretty great Batman. I thought I thought he was a pretty great Batman. I thought he got the attitude down for Bruce Wayne. I thought he was very believable with Snyder's vision of Batman, which is a little more fantastical, a little less realistic, a little more stylized. And again, the ultimate cut and then the Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League, we got R-rated Batman, guys. We got a R-rated Batman, which is cool to me, where he's violent, he's killing people, he's a Frank Miller. He's kind of a very Frank Miller inspired Batman. I'm on board with Snyder's vision. I'm disappointed we're not going to see more of his movies. I was a fan of this movie, and I like it more every time I see it. So, what do you think, James?
Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of it too.
Yeah.
I really like Ben Affleck as Batman.
I do too.
I really like the digital voice masking that he used as his voice.
Much smarter choice than Christian Bale's use.
Yes.
Voice. Yes.
I was sad they took that out of the Flash, where he wasn't using that anymore.
Yeah.
Like the warehouse scene was like incredible. It was almost like watching like the Arkham games.
Yeah. That warehouse scene is awesome. That warehouse scene is awesome.
Yeah. It's that there is like some like, I know he like only kills people as like a side effect and not directly is the Zack Snyder's justification. It took me a little while to get used to that it's like a different Batman, like, so I kind of just consider it like an Elseworld story there to process it. But yeah, I like it overall.
Good. All right. Very cool. Yeah. How about you, Taliski?
I'm fine with it. I did not like it really in the theater. I would say I might agree with you. I think I've seen it maybe twice now. I never saw the ultimate cut. So I don't like. So I think time, as you said, like might be a little more kind to it. Like even
Definitely give
with
the ultimate cut a shot. Definitely give the
even
ultimate
without the ultimate cut, but like I think they're like really good moments in the movie, which makes me a little more forgiving of it. Where it's like that warehouse scene is, I mean, just great.
Yeah.
Like I mean,
Yeah, that's Zack Snyder at
Yeah.
his best. That's Zack Snyder
Yeah.
at his best. That's just,
and yeah, I like Batfleck. I do. Like I'm fine with Batfleck. Good for him. So I mean, yeah, overall, it's like a shoulder shrug. Like, yeah, you know, if it's on, I'd watch it. If it was like, I mean, we don't have TV like that anymore. But if it was like on TBS or USA or something like that, like, and I was doing laundry, I'd watch the movie still.
No.
So yeah.
How about you, Robin?
Haven't seen it. No comment.
Okay. All right. How about you, Luke?
Which one are we talking about? Best Justice League or
Batman versus Superman?
Batman versus Superman. And it was that was the one that was then there's the Zack Snyder cut.
The Zack Snyder cut was Justice League.
Okay, so I have only seen the one version of it. I in the theater. I did not like it. I respected it because I but it was the beginning of the end of my interest in Zack Snyder as a filmmaker. I liked what he did with the Superman movies, although I do have a problem with it in some respects. But the Batman versus Superman, I wasn't feeling it. I respect what you guys said about the voice thing. You know, there were choices that he made. I thought they were interesting, but Zack Snyder, his approach to it, is just too. It was too much for me, and I wish I could be more. I wish I had more to say about it, but I only saw it the one time, and because I didn't like it, I just didn't invest much in it.
Nothing wrong with that. No, Zack Snyder's a love him or hate him kind of filmmaker, man. He makes very bold choices. He makes very strong choices, and I'll be the first to admit, as a fan of his choices don't always work. He can be kind of clumsy. He can be kind of overblown. He can be kind of heavy-handed. But what I admire about Zack Snyder is that he takes chances. He uses digital cinema. He pushes boundaries of digital cinema. He does new things with digital cinema. And like I said, they don't always work, but he's always pushing himself to do something different and new. And I admire that about him.
I liked it more when I was an angry young man in my 20s. As a fella in my late 40s, I don't have the same interest in that kind of heavy-handed machismo. You know, that this is what being a man is all about.
Sure.
I don't need to have my masculinity spoon-fed to me like that. But Zack Snyder is a father, you know, and so I think in some respects he feels he has to represent what he thinks being a good role model is. But then again, I mean, it's an R-rated movie where Batman kills people, so. I mean, that's not necessarily the Batman that we need. That's not the Batman we don't need. But I think that Zack Snyder only read Frank Miller and then was just like, okay, I don't ever need to read another Batman comic book. You know, it's so yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right, moving on.
But I loved 300 when I saw it. I mean, then at the same time, I mean, it was a different time. So
yeah. See, 300 is actually my least favorite of his movies. So it just goes to show you, I
that's actually out of all of his. That's the only one of his movies I like.
Okay.
And even then, I don't think I'd like it that much anymore. Yeah.
What about the ones?
when it came out, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
What about the one with the samurai demons? I liked that kind of, but I kind of liked it.
The samurai.
It was kind
Sucker
of
Punch.
Yeah, Sucker Punch. That's it. Yeah, Sucker
I
Punch.
love Sucker
I
Punch.
kind of liked that.
I love Sucker Punch. I love Sucker Punch.
But there are aspects of it that I didn't like at the same time. I mean, these are women who are being taken advantage of sexually, almost certainly, and they're living out these fantasies that they are almost certainly only exist in their minds. If depending on how you interpret it, the wrong messages can be lifted from it. So
I agree, the wrong messages can be lifted, but I think his intentions were better than that. I think his intentions with Sucker Punch, and that's another podcast, but I think he was making a movie.
This is about Batman.
Yeah. I think he was very much making a movie that was aware of those issues that you brought up, Luke. So yeah, I think so.
I hope so.
I think so. I give him credit. All right, moving on to number 5. I'm going to give it to Batman Begins 2005, Chris Nolan's first movie in his Batman trilogy. Part of me wonders why I'm not ranking it higher. It's a very, very good movie. I don't rewatch it a lot, and I think that's the reason I didn't rank it higher. I think it's a very good movie. It's very earnest, very earnest. It's very sincere. Its first half is it's starting the world up. It's very much character development in the beginning. I'm not pumped by watching the first hour of it. I'm not. It's a good movie. It's a well-made movie. It's a very good movie. I just don't get into it the way I do other Batman movies until Scarecrow becomes prominent in it. Once Scarecrow becomes prominent in it, then it becomes a whole new ballpark. Then it becomes a great freaking movie. Like, I still remember seeing that movie in the theater, and I was watching it, and I was like, okay, this is different. This is cool. We're kind of doing a realistic version of Batman. But as soon as they brought Scarecrow full on into the movie, a little bit more than halfway done, I just turned to my friend and I said, this is awesome. I just had that revelation where it was like, that's where the movie gets great. And that's where it kind of, Dark Knight took a cue from that last part of Batman Begins and did a whole movie like that. But we'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, I think it's a very good movie. It's a great beginning. It's a smart interpretation of Batman. I think Christian Bale does a nice job. It's a great beginning. I like it. Yeah. How about you, James?
I think it was a very much needed palate cleanser after Batman Robin.
Yes. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, it's a good flick. I love Scarecrow in it. Still not in love with Christian Bale as Batman.
Yeah.
But he does a good job. I like him as an actor.
Yeah.
Ra's al Ghul was interesting. Liam Neeson as him. Yeah, I guess I just don't have a lot to say about it.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay. How about you, Teleski?
I remember loving that movie.
Yeah.
And I still do have a soft spot in my heart for it. I loved it. I said way earlier about Mask the Phantasm being one of the better Batman movies. I think Batman Begins also falls in that category. I would say that there are other better movies that have Batman in them, like Dark Knight, but I think Batman Begins is, technically a better Batman movie per se. We can get into Dark Knight later. I think Dark Knight is a better crime gangster movie, and that's what makes it so great and so rewatchable. But Batman Begins, just deals with Batman, that entire warehouse scene. That entire warehouse scene. I remember watching that in the theater, and I was just like,
yeah. The warehouse scene is pretty cool.
That's what Batman's supposed to be. You don't even need to see him. He's in the shadows. He's taking people out.
Yeah.
People are scared shitless. I loved it. So I would definitely put it up there as one of the top ones as well. And I think that's what I remember. That's what because I think James is right about it being a great palate cleanser, because Batman and Robin left such a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
And I remember once I saw that movie, I was like, Christopher Nolan he has the reins in this movie. He can do whatever he wants to. So I remember when for Dark Knight, and Robin will remember this when like Heath Ledger was chosen as Joker. I was like, sure, whatever. It's Christopher Nolan making it. It's going to be good. And I remember everybody else was like, why would you pick the Knight's Tale guy? And I was like, he'll be great. He'll be great because it's Christopher Nolan doing it. And we got what we got. Anyway, Batman Begins. Good. Yeah.
All right. How about you, Robin?
I liked it. I'd rank it higher than you, Matt.
Okay.
Like, I mean, as you've all been saying, like that it's like refreshing, like compared to like the Schumacher like Batmans in that sense, but also just like it was so different from other like superhero movies that had been coming out before it, you know, that I was just like I got kind of bored with them because I don't know, I get that way sometimes with superhero films, but this one was so different and like I agree it is kind of slow at first, but I still enjoyed it. I still was just like very interested in watching like this story because I didn't know anything about this like in Batman before, if that even existed in Batman before, because I didn't have knowledge of Batman. Like, but I still enjoyed it a lot. And like with Christian Bale, I thought he was doing a really good job in this one, and I liked like looking back at it compared to like the others, I liked that he hadn't fully built that Christian Bale voice. I'm so glad that didn't exist in the first one. If only it could have been like that in the others, you know?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like the whole thing of like, when Scarecrow comes in, like that's amazing. Like all of this stuff, like I enjoyed it a lot when it came out, and I still do like it. I still do like watching that movie, you know?
Once Cillian Murphy goes, or is it Killian or Cillian?
Killian.
Once Cillian Murphy becomes full blown Scarecrow, I mean, he's amazing. I think we'll get into Heath Ledger. We've already brought up the wonder that is Heath Ledger. He gives a performance that's just as out there as Heath Ledger, just as inventive as Heath Ledger, and his performance is a little underrated. Heath Ledger deserves all his props. We'll get into that shortly, but Cillian Murphy is just amazing. So
one other thing about it, and like was that I really enjoyed about it is like having lived in Chicago at the time, like being able to watch this and see different parts of Chicago that they're using and recognizing them, you know, like I found that very interesting about the movie as well. So
very cool. Yeah, I got to see some sites too. I got to see some.
Yeah.
How about you, Luke?
I agree with you guys. At top 5, it's Cillian Murphy delivered a fantastic performance. It the Ra's al Ghul character, that was an interesting part of it. I liked seeing the psychology of Batman, him going from. I mean, I know that with I don't remember which one it was with where he first started with Batman first started seeing a psychologist, but I thought that it was a good continuation to play into the psychological aspect. You know, he was afraid of bats, and that his fear became his weapon. I thought that was interesting, and if after Batman being a superhero and Batman being a detective, it's all about the toys, right? And the toys were just fantastic in Christopher Nolan's Batman movies. The Christopher Nolan he has such a fantastic visual approach with effects and everything. I just it's impossible not to be enthralled when you're watching that, because it's just so interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he did something. He came to it with a very at the time. His impact has already faded slightly because it's been copied to death already since he did it. But the way he made a superhero movie was just as impactful and influential as what Burton did with Batman '89, and just as influential as what Richard Donner did with Superman 7 in the '70s.
Yeah.
So they really deserve it. So and then going on to number 4, we're at Batman '89. That's my number 4. I watched it with Taliski and Robin not too long ago. We had a really good time picking the movie apart and pointing out how dated it is now. Yes, it's very dated. I have watched it since watching it with you two, and I enjoyed it more that time. So I'm kind of ranking it based off that last viewing I had. I think that I'm partially ranking it so high because of the influence it had on other movies. But that being said, I love Tim Burton. I'm all on board with his vision for this. He did something for at the time that was very new and very ahead of the game, and I give it credit for that. I give it credit to that. Do I enjoy watching it today? Yes, not nearly as much as I did when I was a kid, and it's hard not to criticize it because the script's a mess. Character motivations are very unclear at times. It's just not. You can. I know that there were script problems while they were making the movie, and it was one of those movies that was being rewritten every day when they were shooting it. And you can kind of, if you look at it through today's eyes, especially after I've written movies and made a few movies of my own on a much smaller scale, I can kind of piece it together and be like, okay, you can kind of tell that they just threw this in there in that moment and that. So it's kind of a mess of a movie, but given what it was at the time, it was this beautiful dark interpretation of a superhero, and it was way ahead of its time. And superhero movies today still owe a significant debt to that movie. So no, it
Yeah.
hasn't aged too great, but that being said, it still deserves credit for the influence it has, and that's mainly why I rank it so high. How about you, James?
It's just iconic.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it definitely hasn't aged the best, and like the Danny Elfman score is amazing, but then the
Yes,
Prince soundtrack is
yes.
very jarring.
The Prince soundtrack is great, but it doesn't fit the movie.
Yeah, it's kind of just like, why is that even in this? Like,
Yeah.
I love that Gotham is its own character in that movie.
Yeah.
And it's my favorite Batmobile design ever.
Yeah.
And Michael Keaton is just great in it.
Yeah. Yeah, he really is. Since we're on Batman, the subject of Batman '89, I should say he is my favorite Batman. He is my favorite Batman. I don't feel like he was ever given he's been Batman in 3 movies now, 4 if we count the one we're never going to see, Batgirl, the one that got canned. But he was in it 3 times. He was never quite given the full opportunity to explore that character, and that's because he could have really chewed into that character. He needed some more meat to that character that he was never fully given. But he fit the role the best. I remember Tim Burton said he chose him because he wasn't the obvious choice, because he was a guy who needed to dress up like a bat in order to be intimidating and scary and that kind of stuff. And it's like, I get it. It was a smart choice, and he was a great Bruce Wayne too. And for somebody who's not necessarily, he's a good looking guy, but he's not necessarily Mr. Chisel, stereotypically handsome. So he made the least obvious choice the best choice, and that's yeah. So how about you, Taliski?
So yeah, I like the movie overall. Like there's things about the movie that are, yeah, like as you said, James said, iconic. Like I remember sitting in that theater and that like the very very end of the movie, the slow pan up, and then Michael Keaton sitting there, and the bat signal. Like to this day, that is burned in my brain.
Sure,
That's like
sure.
one of my big movie memories. And Danny Elfman's soundtrack is amazing, and there's just like a lot of like iconic scenes in it put together. And actually like watching the movie, it's like okay, well, you know.
I can see that.
We see where our roots come from. Like that's
Yeah.
pretty much where I feel about like
Yeah.
the '89 Batman. It's like, oh, this is where we started from, and like
Yeah.
I appreciate it for what it is, even though like it's not necessarily my favorite movie just to sit down and watch it at this point.
Sure.
But Michael Keaton was, I mean, pretty much everybody did their job fine. I think it was just, I think as you said, it was written kind of the last minute, so everything's sort of a mess in a sense. But you know, from Jack Nicholson to Michael Keaton, everybody did a pretty good job with what they got. So,
yeah. What do you think, Robin?
I like it. I would put Batman Begins over it.
Okay.
I mean, I do think, yeah, Michael Keaton does a great job. I see him more so as Bruce Wayne than as Batman. Like, he just doesn't come off as like as much of like an action type of actor. But I mean, I still thought he did a good job. I like his voice much better than Christian Bale's. the Batmobile in it is great. Like, I watched this with Tlisky, I think after Dark Knight came out. It was either after or right before, but I had been complaining so much, like, how could Heath Ledger possibly be better than Jack Nicholson? Jack Nicholson was great, blah, blah, and I watched it, and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? Like, no, it's not good.
Yeah.
I don't like Jack Nicholson's Joker at all,
Yeah.
in fact. Like,
Yeah.
now,
It's amazing and we'll get into that one in a minute, but it's amazing how Heath Ledger, when we all heard Heath Ledger was going to play that role, it was like, oh, nobody's ever going to beat Jack Nicholson. That's Jack Nicholson's role. Nobody is ever going to be. And then literally like 5 minutes after you see the movie, it's just like, who's Jack Nicholson? You know?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, what the hell was I thinking with this? Like, no. But then, like, you know, like, comparing that to Batman Returns, I think this movie is so weak. So weak. It's like Tim Burton is limited, it feels like, compared to what he does with Batman Returns, like, and other Tim Burton films too.
Yeah.
Like, he feels like it makes you feel like he's so restricted on what he could have actually done with the film. You know,
he was very restricted with that movie.
Yeah.
And that's where Batman Returns is like an explosion of that frustration.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah.
And that's what's so cool about it. We'll get into that soon too. So, how about you, Luke?
I agree with what you guys have said for the most part about Batman. I mean, it was iconic. It was Tim Burton being Tim Burton, but that's limiting. I mean, coming off of Edward Scissorhands or whatever was before it. I mean, I'm glad that he did it, because prior to that, you know, all that had been as far as comic book movies was the Superman movies, and it really pigeonholed what our idea of what good guys on screen were supposed to be. And, you know, they weren't necessarily all about, you know, American apple pie, and it really gave flavor to what a superhero could be on screen. I liked it. I liked it a lot. That having been said, it is no longer one of my favorite Batman movies. I mean, I think that you guys are right. Batman Returns is far better.
Mm-hmm.
That having been said, although Heath Ledger's Joker is better, without a doubt, I still love Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. I do too.
I mean, I think it's better than Cesar Romero's Joker. It's not as good as Mark Hamill's, but it's better than. I honestly think it's better than Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
Interesting.
Although Joaquin Phoenix reinvented the role for that film, it's not a Batman Joker. It's a Todd Phillips Joker.
Yes, I get you. Yeah, very nice.
And so, I mean, Jack Nicholson is Jack Nicholson. So.
Jack Nicholson is Jack Nicholson. There's no other way to put it.
There's a reason why he has so many Oscars. He's just he brings so much character and charisma to the screen, and I even liked the Prince soundtrack.
I do too. Yeah. Also, I would give Tim Burton. I would give Tim Burton some credit, because I think about the time that movie was made in, and I don't think there probably would have been I don't think anybody else could have made a actual good Batman movie at that time but Tim Burton.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I will give him credit for that too.
He was so. Yeah. Michael Keaton was not an obvious choice. Tim Burton was not an obvious choice. Yeah. Tim Burton had only done Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Beetlejuice before he did Batman, and the short version of Frankenweenie. It's like, who would have thought from looking at Beetlejuice that this guy could do the Batman that he delivered? Yeah. It surprised everybody. It was for the time. It was one of the best movies ever made. For the time, it was one of the best movies ever made. Now, it hasn't. It's aged kind of like bread, not like wine. To quote the movie Maxine. All right, so moving on. Number 3. All right, and this is gonna. I know. Again, my love of Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder's Justice League would be for number 3. That is primarily Batman's movie, I would say. He's really the mastermind of the movie. It's the closest we're probably ever going to get to seeing a true Ben Affleck Batman movie, which is unfortunate because, like James and I said earlier, I'm on board with Batfleck. I thought he never quite got to realize his potential, but he had loads of potential that we saw. Zack Snyder's Justice League, we already talked about Zack Snyder. He has a bold, singular vision. There are art house sensibilities in this movie. It's very tonally risky. It's just a very unique superhero movie, and it's hard for me to describe it if you haven't seen it, but it's just he completely does his own thing. He doesn't pay any respect to the comics. He really just does what Zack Snyder wants to do. And I love him or hate him. I get it why people don't like him, but I'm on board with him. And I think this movie is something pretty spectacular. I've never seen anything quite like it. The Zack Snyder cut is 4 hours long. It has like 5 different endings, so it's one of those movies that I get it. This is a director's cut. This is the director's unfettered vision, but it's still it should have been shorter.
It's not as long as it's long. That's for sure.
It should have been shorter, but that being said, I'm totally on board with Snyder's vision. I'm glad we got to see this cut of his movie so we can at least see what he intended to do with the DCEU. But I think it's too bad we're not going to see more Zack Snyder DC movies. I think it's too bad. I'm all on board with him. I'm all on board with Batfleck. What do you think, James?
Yeah, I really like this. I was surprised at what a step up it was from the Joss Whedon version of Justice League. Because I remember leaving the Joss Whedon theatrical showing and being very disappointed, and this was just like a whole another movie.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Yeah.
Ironically, I remember most of the other characters more than Batman in there. Like Cyborg's story that they reinstated because they pretty much just ignored Cyborg in the theatrical cut. Like the hostage situation with Wonder Woman was really memorable. Mm-hmm. I'm still salty we were supposed to get Jon Stewart at the end of the movie and they replaced him with Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
Like, no, Jon Stewart's the best Green Lantern, darn it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wish it was a little shorter because you got to take like a whole half day just to watch it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. What do you think, T?
Overall, I liked it. It wouldn't be number 2 for me.
Number 3.
Because like the original cut, I would put that might be the one movie that I put maybe even under Batman and Robin. Like that Joss Whedon Justice League is just disgusting.
I'm not even counting it. I'm not even.
Yeah, I respect the fact that it's like not even.
But it's not. It's not good compared to the Snyder cut.
But yeah, overall I liked it. I don't really it's like, I think it's more of a Cyborg movie than it is a Batman movie.
Okay.
So
okay.
But I'm yeah.
I can see that.
Ben Affleck did his thing. It's leaps and bounds better than the original. It is too long. All he had to do was really just make the about 50% of the slow motion shots regular speed. We'd probably be at about 2 hours.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
I love Snyder's slow motion shots. I love. There's a scene in there where Lois Lane's going to visit Superman's memorial when she thinks he's dead, and she's just walking in the rain with an umbrella, and there's this sad song playing on the soundtrack. I love that moment. It's just what superhero movie do you see a scene like that in? It was just beautiful. I loved it. But yeah, how about you, Robin?
Never seen it, no comment.
Never seen it, no comment. Gotcha. How about you, Luke?
Yeah, I think I showed my hand a little too early. I don't like the I didn't like when I saw it in the theater, and I gave up on. We kind of talked about this a little bit.
We did.
I gave up on watching the Snyder cut.
Yeah.
I think that I want to say something nice. The Ben Affleck is probably fits the suit better than anyone else.
Yeah.
You know, he is a physically imposing man. You know, and when he lifts, you know,
Yeah.
takes the creatine, you know, he really fills out the suit really well.
Yeah.
And he is a fan of comic books, so you know he wants to do justice to the role.
He wants to do
And-
justice to the league.
Yeah, exactly. And he I mean, I love that Wonder Woman is in it. I mean, fuck, I mean, we needed Wonder Woman on screen for so long. So to not have her in you know, prior to the 21st century is a shame. But yeah, as far as a Batman movie goes, I don't even I don't even consider it, because it's too little of it is about Batman, and not enough of it is about Batman villains. And Justice League is great because it features all the other characters who deserve to have had screen time for a long time. I mean, people compare DC to Marvel, and I think that in some ways DC stories are superior to Marvel stories. That having been said, DC has they've just botched every attempt to depict vast majority of the superheroes in their stable. So
Yeah.
with I mean, the exception of you know, the 70s with Superman and the Batman movies, most of their movies just aren't that. I mean, the Wonder Woman movie was good, but
Yeah.
I didn't see the Flash movie, like I mentioned, and I don't like the Arrowverse. So
Yeah. No.
and Green Arrow is my favorite DC character. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully James Gunn will do some good to it. Hopefully James.
Yeah.
Gunn will-
James Gunn's. I mean,
James Gunn's amazing. So
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing what he does. I look forward to seeing what he does. All right. Number two. All right, we're down to the first two. Number two for me would be Batman Returns, 1992. This movie it's a batshit crazy superhero movie, man. It's two of my heroes getting together and parenting this really weird offspring. Director Tim Burton, screenwriter Daniel Waters, the guy who wrote Heathers. It's a superhero movie written by the guy who wrote Heathers. That's what's so cool about that movie. I mean, it's an art film with $100 million budget. It's just this complex feminist movie that deals with childhood trauma and childhood abandonment and alienation and all these deep dark themes and duality. The characters are all, it really explores the duality of Batman and Catwoman and wearing a mask. It's just an all around, and I love the art direction. I love the cinematography. I love it's a Tim Burton movie, but the one thing it's not, even though it's number two on my list, it's not a particularly great Batman movie. It's a movie that's more about he's in there, he's explored, he doesn't do much detecting, he doesn't do much of anything in the movie other than show up and fight here and there. But this is a case where the villains are obviously what Tim Burton has an affinity for. It's really about Penguin and Catwoman. It's really Catwoman's movie. And Batman's more of a supporting role, but just in terms of it being a quality movie, it's a crazy movie, and we're lucky that it exists. Like, Tim Burton was at the height of his fame and his success when he made it. He was basically like, okay, I'll do a Batman sequel, but I'm gonna do whatever I want with it, and that's what this movie is. It's just Tim Burton doing whatever he wants and having the resources to do it, and that's what's so cool about it. It's not perfect. I do wish Batman was a little more developed in it. I do wish that I wish the story was a little more linear. It's not unlinear, but it's not linear. I wish there was more of a story. It's more of a lot of loosely related events that kind of connect. But whatever. It's an awesome movie. It's a cool movie. It's just I love it. I love it. It's not a perfect Batman movie, but just taking it for what it is, I love it. So, how about you, James?
Oh, I love it. It's my favorite Batman movie.
Okay.
Even though
Okay.
it doesn't adhere super strictly to the comics, but like it's so
No.
Tim Burton at
Yes.
the height of Tim Burton.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And like Michelle Pfeiffer like kills it as Catwoman.
Yes. Nobody
and-
has ever come close to her
No.
since. And I liked Anne Hathaway, but I think Michelle Pfeiffer,
Hmm.
she should have gotten an Oscar nomination for that.
Yeah. Dan DeVito's great in there too.
Yeah.
It is funny that Batman is just kind of like a side character in that
Kind of,
movie. but-
pretty much. You kind of have to take that. You pretty much have to take that, accept that in order to enjoy the movie.
Yeah, but oh man, I just love everything about it. Like
Yeah.
even it's bonkers. Penguins with rockets strapped to their backs.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's just it's Tim Burton's It exploding out on the screen, and he's got
Yes.
hundreds of millions of dollars to do it with. It's great. It's great. Early Tim Burton. You can't beat early Tim Burton. Yeah. How about you, T?
Essentially, I agree with damn near everything you said. I wouldn't put it up near my top. It's not like my favorite Batman movie at all. But at the same time, I mean, it's a fun movie. It's definitely to me, it's like in no way, shape, or form a Batman movie. It's just Tim Burton who
Yeah.
just happened to have the Batman character, and he was just
Yeah.
like, I get to do like, yeah, I'll have this weird penguin funeral, like,
Yeah.
things back. It's fun. Like just weird stuff. But yeah, it's fun. I don't hate the movie in any way, shape, or form. I think it's a step up from the '89 Batman for sure.
Yeah.
It's just not completely a Batman movie. So, but sometimes it's fine. Still,
Yeah.
good movie overall.
Nice. How about you, Robin?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love this movie. Like, I mean, I love that it is more Tim Burton. His bizarreness, it gets even more extreme than like his previous films, like even more extreme than like Beetlejuice
Yeah.
with his character.
Yeah.
Just like the one scene that's happening, like the whole like fight battle scene, it's basically like you're watching a circus happen
Yeah.
at the same time, you know.
Yeah.
Or it is a circus basically, and he even like goes for that look. He tries to make it look as though a circus is
Yeah,
happening.
yeah.
Yeah, like Catwoman, it is great. Penguin, like Danny DeVito, I love the part where he just is like eating fish nervously
Yeah.
raw as he's walking
Yeah.
around like in that building, you know. And Christopher Walken in it as well is great. I thought he did a great job, very entertaining, you know, still
Yeah.
like has his Christopher Walken character, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, point is I like it a lot. That's all.
Nice. Yeah, I love it too. How about you, Luke?
I totally agree with you guys. I think it's a great movie in just about every aspect. I mean, I feel as though there's another villain in it, though, isn't there? I mean, we've
There's
mentioned.
Max Shrek, there's Penguin, there's Catwoman. Yeah, that's it. Max,
Oh, well, then if I'm wrong.
include Christopher
The-
Walken as Max Shrek.
There's a scene where Penguin is cooperating with another villain. Is he cooperating with Catwoman at all, or
Yeah, they
Yeah.
hatch a plan to frame Batman.
okay? So then Catwoman and Batman do not get along in that movie.
Oh no, they
They often have a romantic.
there's
they go-
definitely
Yeah.
romantic
There's- yeah,
chemistry there.
yeah.
They just,
She was-
it's kind of tragic the way the movie. I guess it's been a little while since you've seen it. The movie's kind
Yeah.
of a tragic romance where they want to be together, but they're just too disturbed, and it's just not realistic. He's a justice fighter. He's a fighter for justice. She's a criminal, so they can't be together ultimately in the end.
Yeah.
And it's kind of beautiful and tragic.
I remember you when you guys mentioned it. I had flashes of Danny DeVito eating the fish.
Yeah.
And I remember that zoo and him being his tragic backstory and him growing up in the sewers. And there's so many things about it that were just neat. That you wish that Tim Burton had thrown more of that into the first movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, we got what we got with in 1989. As far as it being a Batman movie, your guys are right. It's more about the villains, and Dan DeVito and Michelle Pfeiffer. They just stole the show. Oh, Christopher Walken though is great too. I mean, when is he not good?
Yeah.
I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer ended up killing him, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. At the very end, yep. She does
With the electro thing.
her and she's holding on.
Yeah.
To the,
Yeah. He created her. He essentially created her.
He
pushed her out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He created her.
Yeah.
He created her
That's
monster.
That was just so great. I mean, I haven't seen that movie in a long time, but you guys
look at it again. It holds up. It ages very well.
Yeah.
It's aged very well.
Well, fortunately, we just subscribed to Max, so
Yeah. Oh, nice. It should be. I think it's on there. Actually, they have most of the Batman movies on there. So.
Yeah, the thing that they don't have is the Batman TV shows.
I thought they did. I could be. I could be.
And it might be available, but I checked this morning and I didn't see it.
Okay, I could be wrong. All right, and now we're on to number one, and it's the most obvious choice, and it's the only one I haven't brought up yet. Dark Knight.
Yeah.
I think this is. I think it's not just the best superhero movie ever made. It's one of the best movies, period, ever made. It's a great movie. I think from the writing, the direction, the cinematography, it's a thematically rich movie. It captures the duality of Batman and Joker, it captures the relationship between Batman and Joker better than any other Batman movie ever captured it. It captures the relationship of criminal and justice. Criminal and justice. It's just a great crime movie. It's a great movie about the psychology of those who fight crime and those who perpetrate crime. I'm not saying it too clearly, but it's an all around great movie. Is it the great Batman movie we all want? Not necessarily. He's given enough to do in the movie. But what truly makes the movie great, what really pushes it over to the edge to greatness for me, is of course Heath Ledger's Joker. I mean, it's just a phenomenal performance. The writing of it, and Heath Ledger just grabbing onto the horns and writing that role. It's just an amazing role, it's an amazing performance. And I hate the fact that we didn't get to see more of it, because I think we most certainly would have in for its future movies, and I think the future movies would have been so much better with him in it. But or the future movie. But yeah, great movie, great writing, great cast, wonderful, one of a kind, Oscar-worthy performance from Heath Ledger. What do you think, James?
Oh, I love it. It's I've probably watched that movie more than any other Batman movie.
Yeah, me too.
Like, probably to the detriment, because I started to see flaws in it after watching it a million times over. I wish it ran a little shorter, just a teensy bit, but it's like Heath Ledger's performance is incredible in there. Mark Hamill's still my favorite Joker, but Heath Ledger is my favorite live action. So I don't really know what else to say. That hasn't been said already.
I had trouble articulating. It's hard for me to articulate when I write reviews or talk about movies when it's just that good. Where it's just it's good.
Yeah.
What else is there to say? It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. The only flaw I can think of that comes to mind is Christian Bale's voice, and who gives a crap? It's not enough to hurt the movie. It's not enough. It's still a good performance, but yeah. Anyway, what do you think, Taliski?
What do I think? Sorry. I really did like the movie. I think I think I've said it a few times before. I think it is the best movie out of all of the Batman movies. Yeah. It is, and I think it's mainly. I think it's a Batman movie, but it's more over a Joker movie, and more over than that, it's a crime movie.
Yeah,
and all you have to do really is just take. If it wasn't Joker, it's essentially like a gangster flick where, the inexperienced criminal with a lot of charisma essentially takes over the mob. He has all the power, and then the cops go and eventually take the power from him, or whatever
Yeah.
like that. He gets apprehended at the end. It's a good ass movie. It's just good. Like, it's a formula that has worked. It's damn good. It's well directed, well acted. There's like I said, there's not really much more to say about it.
Right.
Except like,
it just
good ass
works.
movie.
It just works. Yeah, it's a great crime movie, and Christopher Nolan even said that one of his major influences for the movie was the movie Heat. So
that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. The relationship between Al Pacino, cop and criminal, is very similar to Joker and Batman. It's
that makes sense.
very similar movies. So, what do you think, Robin?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that that's like the best superhero movie. Like, I 100% agree with you on that. And I mean, like, yeah, Heath Ledger is amazing in it, but it's also just like the way, like, certain scenes are filmed. Like, I know, like, the opening scene that's just like, looking at like the landscape skyscrapers of Chicago with like that, like, tension building up as to what's gonna happen. Like, that just scene itself just got me so excited for like, oh yes, this is gonna be good. Like, and then like other parts too. Like, I forget what exactly led to this, but like, Joker is like, it's a view of the side of the car looking at Joker's head sticking out the window and like his hair blowing in the wind. Like,
right after
that,
he gets
even just right, yeah, even just that visually is like so like powerful, like, you know, compared to like other films. Like,
totally. Oh yeah. I mean, Nolan brought a very specific artistry to that movie. He brought a very huge class of filmmaking to that movie. I mean, it was
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it was.
And
go for it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and again, like, you know, living in Chicago at the time, like being able to see like, oh, they're driving on Lower Wacker, like, oh, I know that's like on LaSalle or Dearborn or whatever. And then also, like, it just so happened that they were filming some of it in the alley of the building I worked in. So I mean, I got to like check out what they were doing with like motorcycles and stuff. So
nice,
pretty cool. But
that's really cool.
Anyway,
that's really cool. I didn't
know.
Oh, that's cool. What about you, Luke?
Oh yeah. So Christopher Nolan, I mean, he's a master of using the visual medium. I mean, every movie he makes is all about making the most out of space and time, and I really, really admire that movie so much. And you guys, everything you guys have said has been spot on. From the Heath Ledger performance to how they used Lower Wacker to how they developed the story in relationship to the character and the relationship between Joker and Batman. I everything you guys have said I've totally agreed with, and I wish I had something more to add, but I'm just monologuing right now.
It's such a good movie. It's such a good movie. There's just not that much to say about it. Like, I find myself with that problem when I'm trying to review movies for my site. When I see a really good movie and it just works, there's so little to say about it because it works. It just works.
Yeah.
It just works. Yeah.
Also, I like the Cheddar Goblin T-shirt. I keep thinking about that.
Thank you. Yes.
Oh yes, that's awesome. Yes, I didn't see that you had it on, Robin.
Yeah.
Nice. Are you a Mandy fan, Luke?
No, I have no idea which one.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
Mandy.
Yeah, it's a
joke commercial in the movie. Just look up Cheddar Goblin Mandy. Like,
yeah.
I will.
Look
cool.
it up. You can see there's a commercial for it on YouTube. All right, and last question of the night is, where would you like to see Batman go in future movies? I'll answer that quickly myself. We've already pretty much said it. I would just like to see. Years ago in Chicago, I had a conversation with a couple comic book, and I say this with affection, nerds, who just were comic book nerds. They were the definition. I don't remember their names, but I had a conversation with them, and the girl was adamant that I was talking to that the movies never got right that Batman's greatest weapon is his mind, and I agree with her. They've never quite nailed how intelligent and how resourceful Batman is. He's rich, he's got access to all these resources, but they've never really like you said, Luke, the new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson shows him detecting. I'd like to see that done more. I'd like to see Batman's intelligence more. And that being said, I'd also like to see, we've seen Christopher Nolan's vision, we've seen Tim Burton's vision, we've seen Zack Snyder's vision. I'd like to see like James said earlier, I'd like to see a more fantastical vision now. We've seen everything else. Take it to Artifice. Take it to Fantasyland. Really explore the superhero world of Batman. So that's my opinion. What do you think, James?
Yeah, I want to see that fantastical Batman, and I really want to see the Bat family in film too.
Yes,
I know we got like Robin and Batgirl and Batman Robin, but that doesn't count to me.
Right.
But I think we're going to see some of that with James Gunn's take on Batman. So
I believe he's going to bring in Damian Wayne. I believe, I believe that's. Who knows what's true? But I've heard early speculation that they're going to bring in. Is it Damian?
Yeah, it's Damian.
Damian Wayne. I've heard that they're going to bring in. Yeah. So, cool. What do you think, T?
I'm not exactly sure. I think personally, I guess I'm kind of with you. Maybe like a kind of an Elseworld thing. Maybe instead of just doing a regular Batman thing, maybe just go the Elseworld route and like just have a feudal samurai Batman or something like that, or like the what like just something just completely different. Or B, I like what I don't know if any of you guys have seen any of the new Bruce Timm show that they have. Like they're pretty much the Batman animated series people are doing another one, but like now truly in the 1930s. I've seen like an episode or two of it, and I like it so far. It's definitely like another Elseworld kind of Batman thing. So maybe I want to see some more cool animated movies. Maybe that's kind of where I'm at this point.
Like Gotham by Gaslight or something like that.
Maybe something like that. Yeah, but
I would love to see a cool Batman. I would love to see an Enter the Spider-Verse style of Batman movie, animated movie. I would love that, or even a stop motion animated Batman movie. That would be awesome.
That'd be cool.
So, how about you, Robin?
Well, first, like, I Twinsky, you made me think of this when you were saying Batman Samurai. I'm just like Ninja Turtles 3. They are samurais in that, and it was terrible. So hopefully we don't go down that route. No, I mean, like, all of this sounds like good to me. My only like complaint would be if they do yet another starting from the beginning, like I was complaining about before. If they start a Batman movie from the beginning again, it is not needed. It's been done enough. Just skip that.
Yeah.
That's it.
Cool. How about you, Luke?
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I get to be have the last word. I like all your guys' ideas. We haven't really talked about how video games have influenced Batman, and I think some of the best video game, the best narrative interpretations of Batman, aside from the comic books, have been in video games because they have had they relied on a much larger cast of characters. They get to see the whole city, and you get to really get to see what Batman is all about, and see all of his different tools and how he uses computers, and you get to really be Batman. And if I was to bring that to the silver screen, I would want to have the Bat family. I'd want to have a larger cast of characters. I'd want it to be set in the future. I think that Beyond Batman was kind of cool in that it kind of deconstructed what Batman was all about and kind of removed Bruce Wayne from the center and focused returned the focus to Batman, the mantle of the the superhero, and so so that Batman became the focus instead of Bruce Wayne as Batman being the focus. So a future Batman movie, I think I would like to see maybe an anthology approach, so we could see just a wider scope of what Batman is all about.
Batman
then,
anthology movie would be interesting.
Yeah, and then I just like to see more Batman. Period.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that one of the things that really has improved over the years is just that we've had so many different approaches to it, and none of them have been terrible. None of them have been so awful that they've given up on Batman. So I really
Just
think
taking breaks for a while.
Yeah,
After Schumacher, they took a break.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, exactly, because that was the wrong approach. But people loved Batman enough that they wanted to bring him back. I mean, we haven't had as many takes on Superman. You know, Zack Snyder is pretty much the only other person other than Richard Donner Superman.
Yeah.
So I mean, I really would like to, and I'd like to see I like you guys have said, the more fantastical approaches. I mean, to see him in other settings. You know, that I think that the noirish approach to, you know, a true noir would be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what would it be like to have had a you know, a classic silver screen approach to Batman?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm more questions than answers right now because I've never really even thought about it. Just you guys talking about it just really kindled my imagination on. Maybe the five of us should write a Batman script together.
Sounds fun to me. All right. Well, this is fun. I'm going to stop recording here and then just hang on and we'll say goodnight and everything. But thank you for tuning in, everybody. This has been fun. This is Other People's Movies, and we'll see you next time. Bye.